Hello and welcome to episode 1 of the Magnify Your Miracles podcast. This is Reverend Frances Faden, and I'm so happy to be here with you today. And I would like to start the way I start every single thing that I do by just taking a few moments to get ourselves centered and grounded, whatever you've been doing. Just take a few moments. And if you're driving, don't keep your eyes open, but just let yourself calmly focus on your breathing. Getting ourselves centered and grounded, bringing all of our attention into the present moment, giving ourselves complete permission to let go of whatever happened before, whatever might be happening afterwards, and just come completely into the now. And as you are enjoying the increasing awareness of this moment, which is where the divine dwells, just let yourself feel the energy that you would love to feel at the end of today's session. Feeling uplifted, inspired, connected, whatever it is for you. And as you let that feeling flood through your entire being, knowing that that is exactly what's going to be happening, let's take one more deep breath together in gratitude. And we can begin. Well, welcome once again, everyone, to our Magnify Your Miracles podcast number 1. And I just want to start with a little prayer, because one of the things about working with miraculous energy is the key to connecting with it is really prayer. And prayer is simply what I call dialing up the phone. It's just connecting from within. So I'm going to say a little prayer right now to help all of us to connect in with this miraculous energy. Mother, Father, God, Great Spirit of the universe, we give thanks for this time together for episode 1 of the Magnify Your Miracles podcast. And we're asking that each one of us has our inner eyes, ears, and hearts open as wide as possible so that we can truly see, hear, feel, and know the miraculous energy that is already present in our lives. Amen. It feels so good to do that. So this episode is about magnifying your miracles. It's a chance for me to talk a little bit about what it means to magnify miracles and why I am starting this podcast and what my intention is for you, what you can expect. So first of all, welcome. What my intention is to have something that you can listen to every week that is going to inspire you, uplift you, and connect you to the unconditional love that I call Mother Mary. Mother Mary represents the vibration of unconditional love for me. And she actually asked me if I would be willing to start broadcasting. And this is the way that I chose to do that. She's wanting me to reach out to people who are light workers, spiritual entrepreneurs, highly sensitive, highly creative people. And I'm sure that that is probably you. Somebody who has a heart that wants to make a difference in the world and is looking for some inspiration to keep you going. So this is what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about inspirational stories, miraculous stories. I'm going to be leading a meditation every now and then. I'm going to be offering book reviews as well and doing interviews with other people, other light workers who are just like you, sharing their miraculous stories as well, because it's really important in our current climate to keep ourselves as positive and uplifted as possible. And in fact, that's the reason that I decided, why now? I've been thinking about doing this podcast for a long time. And there always seemed to be something else that was more important, something else that was more urgent that I needed to take care of. Well, what happened was, it was a few weeks ago that was, I think, All Saints Day, which was November 1st. It was All Saints Day, and I was driving in the car to the post office, something like that. And I wanted to hear something uplifting on the radio because it's All Saints Day, and I love the Saints. It's one of my favorite holidays is All Saints Day, the day after Halloween. So I turned on the radio, and I was looking for our talk station, and maybe they would have something uplifting. And everything was about politics and all the stuff that's going on right now in the world with politics. which I have to say was not inspiring, uplifting, nor did it connect me to the energy of unconditional love. In fact, it brought me down. I was like, oh man. So then I switched to a religious station. I switched to whatever my local, I think it was the local Catholic station or something. And I thought, for sure, they're going to be talking about saints. It's All Saints Day. I'm going to be uplifted and inspired here. And unfortunately, it was almost the same as the news station. It was more political, and it was very dogmatic. And that's okay. If that's for you, that's fine. But for me, it didn't really work. And that's when I heard Mother Mary whispering in my ear that I needed to bring the energy of the miraculous to the media. I needed to bring that energy, to be broadcasting that energy. And she basically said to me, start creating what you wish was out there. And so I know what I want to hear. I want to hear all about miracles. I want to hear about stories of saints and people like you and I who are light workers and having these incredible experiences. I want to know, how do you connect with spirit? How do you experience miraculous energy in your life? What's your connection with Mother Mary or the Divine Mother? I really want to hear those kinds of stories. That's what keeps me uplifted and inspired and feeling connected. And so that's what I'm going to be doing and what I'm going to be sharing with you. Now, I want to start with my definition of what is a miracle. And in fact, it's not 100% my definition. It's Mother Mary's definition of what is a miracle. And she said, when you experience something that you did not think was possible, that's a miracle. When you experience something, and that something can be yourself, in a way that you did not think was possible, that is a miracle. Now, we can look at that historically and we can say, well, a miracle is when we go beyond the natural laws, perhaps, right? But if you think about our lives now, I'm recording this in 2019, even 20 years ago, there are things that we do now on an everyday basis that we take for granted that 20 years ago, we would have thought would have been like a sci-fi movie. For example, the fact that you're able to even hear this podcast and you might have it on a phone that you carry around with you, and that phone that you carry around with you is a more powerful computer than the ones that sent the rockets to the moon, back in 1969. That kind of thing. So if we think about 100 years ago, 200 years ago, our lives every day are miraculous. Now, I'm not saying that to diminish the miraculous energy. I just want you to have a little shift in your consciousness that the technology for those things, for the iPhone, for rockets going to the moon, all of that technology existed 200, 300, 1,000, 2,000 years ago. Well, what was different? We didn't have the awareness. That's the difference. We didn't have the awareness of that information. We didn't have the consciousness. To get into that miraculous consciousness, we need to expand our awareness. And that is my job. My job is to help you stay in the frequency, in the consciousness, in the mindset that I call a miraculous mindset, a miraculous state of awareness, a miraculous consciousness. Because the truth is that those miracles are possible even right now. Even right now, you have the ability to go beyond what you've ever done before. You have the ability to experience something that you have never experienced before. You have the ability to create things in your lives that you have never created before. And that's the truth. And so by tuning into this podcast every week, my intention for you is to keep you, to remind you, to raise your awareness to that miraculous level, and to show you that there are people right now on the planet who are doing things that are going to blow your mind. There are people right now writing books and having experiences and sharing their miraculous experiences, especially their experiences with the divine, with Mother Mary, which what I call the Divine Mother energy. So who am I? Let me tell you a little bit about who I am and how I came to be here. And then let's give you the ability to magnify some of your own miracles. I'm going to give you a few tips for today. So I'm Reverend Frances Faden. I am an interfaith minister. I am an intuitive coach for highly sensitive, highly creative entrepreneurs and light workers. I help them to magnify not only the miracles in their lives, but I help them magnify their impact and their intuition, both. And I have been doing healing work, I'm going to date myself, for probably over 30 years now. I think I'm going on 31 years. I started right outside of college, and I started doing massage therapy and healing work and that kind of thing. And I started learning how to do energy healing and chakra balancing. And through that process of doing that work, to make a long story short, those energy centers started communicating with me. I'd be working with somebody, be like, why is your second chakra always closed? And then I'd get an image or a word would pop into my head or something would happen. And I started sharing these insights with the people that I was working on, and they validated them. So, oh yeah, that's exactly what's been happening. So that gave me a lot more confidence. And from that place of confidence, I started doing more and more intuitive work and less body work, until I finally just started doing that exclusively. And then I became an interfaith minister. I moved to New York City, became an interfaith minister. I was ordained, and that was like 20 years ago. And that helped me to do more spiritual counseling type of work, because what I found was that even though I would help people with their physical symptoms, I knew there was something underneath that was unresolved. It was usually something emotional. And I was able to really identify through talking to the chakras that was what was happening. And so my work then became much more intuitive healing work, where I would really focus on the energy of emotional healing. What was the emotion underneath of what's going on? And I soon found it wasn't just physical. You could have an emotional cause or an emotional, what I call contributing factor. So it may not be the only thing, but it's a contributing factor with your finances, with your relationships, with your health for sure, with your career, really with any area of your life. And so that's what I specialize in now when I work with people one-on-one, is I go really deep into what's going on. So what happened for me was I lived in a spiritual community for about 6 years. And that was kind of a dream come true that turned into a little bit of a nightmare. I really wanted to live in a spiritual community with friends who were on the spiritual path. I wanted my life to be centered around God and all things spiritual. And I did get to do that while I was there. But you know what ended up happening was I started trying to fit in. I started trying to belong. And the more I tried to fit in, the more I listened to the experts that were there, the people that were in authority that were there. And God bless them, they're just doing their job. But for me, what ended up happening is my intuition got thinner and thinner and thinner until I could barely hear it. It was really, really challenging for me. And finally, something happened where my wife and I said, you know what? We need to get out of here. And so we did. And we moved down to Encinitas and lived down there for about 4 years. But for the first 9 months that I was there, I was really grieving. I was grieving the loss of that dream. I was grieving the loss of that community. I was grieving the loss of my connection and who I thought I was. I was grieving what I was hoping my life was going to be and the fact that it wasn't that. And I was in what I call a dark night of the soul. And it was really painful because I had gone from living in a community where we were meditating 3 hours a day to not being able to meditate. I had written a book on meditation and I couldn't meditate at all. And so it was really painful. And it was at that time that Mother Mary's energy came into my life. And I'll share with you just a little bit of it. It's a longer story than I want to share today. And maybe in a future episode, I'll go into all the detail. But basically what had happened was I was meditating and praying. This was in July of 2012. And I just started doing teleclasses, things that I'd be doing where I'd be giving messages rather than one-on-one. I wanted to see if I could do it in a group setting. And I started doing that with Archangel Raphael, one of the angels that I work with. And I did, and it was a great success. Everybody on the call was able to get a message, and I was really thrilled. And I was planning my next one. But I still felt kind of lost, spiritually lost on the inside. And I wanted some direction, both for my business as well as for my spiritual path. And I was just praying. And at the time, I called God Divine Mother. So I was praying to Divine Mother, and I was like, Divine Mother, you have to help me. You have to really, really help me, because I am so lost and I can't do this anymore. I can't pretend that I know what I'm doing and give people advice on how to connect with the divine when my connection feels so weak right now. And what happened was, because I'm sensitive to energy, all of a sudden I felt the energy in the room change. And I was sitting there, my eyes were closed, I was meditating, or I was trying to meditate, and I was sitting there and I knew somebody was standing behind me. I could feel it. There was a presence there standing behind me. And in my mind's eye, I kept my eyes closed. In my mind's eye, I looked around and I saw who it was. It was Mother Mary. Now, you have to know that I was raised Catholic, but I had left the Catholic Church a long time before then. And this was the last being that I was hoping it would be. If it had been an alien from a different planet, I'd have been more excited. The fact that it was Mother Mary, I was like, oh, Mother Mary. But in the moment, really, I was so wide open because I was so desperate, really, for an answer, for something that would help me, that I just got really quiet and I asked her, I said, Mother Mary, why are you here? And very sweetly, in her sweet voice, she said, I want to be on your next teleclass. Can you believe that's what she asked me? And I said, really? And she said, yes. And I said, okay, I'll do that. And then the energy left, and it was that fast. And of course, as soon as the energy left, then my mind started coming in, and I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? How am I going to tell people, Mother Mary, like, what's it going to be? But I said, well, what do you got to lose? Things aren't really going so well. So give it a go and give it a shot and see what happens. So that's what I did. I did the teleclass the next week, and I told people they were going to get a message, and we're going to have Mother Mary's energy on the call. People signed up for it. I was kind of shaking in my boots, but I was able to do it. And her energy came through really clearly, and people on the call got these messages from Mother Mary. And ever since then, I've been sharing her messages with people, both one-on-one. I do it in a group. I do it in my membership. And I'm going to be doing it here with you. And when we're doing our guided meditations, I'll be sharing also messages from Mother Mary as well. So that's who I am. And recently, Mother Mary has asked me to really focus in on helping the people, supporting the people who are here to make a difference, light workers, highly sensitive people, people who have a big vision. Maybe you even have a book inside of you. That's one of the things I'm going to be helping people do, is help you intuitively write your book and get your book and your message out there. Whatever it is that she asked me to do, that's what I'm doing. That's why, for those of you who are watching the video, you'll see behind me this beautiful painting that my wife Deepa made. This is called Mother Mary Blessing the World. It's a beautiful image, and you'll be able to find that on my website as well. I feel this energy of Mother Mary behind me all the time, and it's a beautiful energy. And again, it's the energy of unconditional love. If you don't want to call the energy Mother Mary, you don't have to. You can call it whatever you want to call it. So we know, how can we help you to magnify your miracles? One of the things that we know is what you focus on expands. What you focus on expands, right? And so if you're focused on problems, you're going to get more problems. If you're focused on miracles, you're going to get more miracles. So by keeping your focus on your deepest heart's desire, by keeping your focus on Mother Mary, Divine Mother, Yogananda, Archangel Michael, whatever form of the divine works for you, doesn't matter to me. It's all the same once we get to the top of the mountain. We might have different paths going up, but once we get to the top of the mountain, the energy is just God. It's the energy of the divine, whatever you call it. But as you focus more and more on high frequency energy, you'll be able to keep your energy in a higher and higher frequency. So one of the ways that you're going to be magnifying your miracles is by recognizing that they're already here. You can't magnify something that doesn't already exist, right? I didn't say manifest your miracles. I said magnify them. That means they're already here. Just like the technology for the iPhone. It was already here. Steve Jobs was able to magnify, to bring something into manifestation that was already there in potentiality. And I really want you to meditate on that this week, that energy that you're seeking. People will say it's seeking you. It absolutely is seeking you, but it's already here. It's probably standing right behind you, tapping you on the shoulder, coming to you in the form of an idea or a hunch or whatever that might be. That miracle energy is already here. And so as we continue to expand our awareness of it, more and more things will be coming. Next week, I'm going to be sharing with you a beautiful book review of a book called Way of the Rose that has been really helpful for me. But I'd like to end today's episode by reading a quote from Saint Seraphim of Sarov. Be like a lighted candle, which itself gives light and lights other candles without losing its own flame, so they can give light elsewhere. If this is so of earthly fire, what can we say of the fire of grace of the all-holy Spirit of God? God bless you, my miraculous friend. This is Reverend Frances Faden, and we'll be talking to you next week. Bye-bye.